Good Monday morning, everyone, with sinus infection and fatigue on this Monday, the 7th of October, 2024. Garden State Weather waking up with us. We thank you very much for subscribing to our channel on YouTube and Twitter as well. 7:09 in the morning, we'll take a look at some of the cams. Right now, it's cloudy skies. Right now, these skies will clear out over the next couple of hours as a cold front comes through. And it's going to get windy around here. So if you're outside in the New York City metro area today or the Philly area, you're going to need a light jacket because even though the temperatures will be moderate, you're still going to feel a breeze, which will make it feel cooler in the air. We're looking at Summit 1 in Vanderbilt in New York City at 7:09 this morning. It is 64 degrees. Peaks Island Cam in Maine looks good this morning. Lots of clouds around. 54 degrees. This looks great. Strait of Gibraltar Cam in Spain at 1:10 this afternoon. Their time 72 degrees. Waking up in Atlanta, Georgia this morning under blue skies, temperature about 68 degrees. Looking good out there. Philadelphia, also under cloudy skies, but improving conditions today. Temperature right now at 7:10 is at 63 degrees. Going back to the harbor in New York City at the World Trade Center here this morning under cloudy skies, it's 64 degrees. And in Nashville this morning, it's all quiet and 66 degrees. Times Square, New York, waking up with some clouds over the area this morning, 68 degrees as well. And this is Times Square, New York. That's not now, that was yesterday. And it's very quiet here. Oops. Sorry about that. 63 degrees right now in Scottsville, Kentucky. And it's very quiet out there. Midtown Manhattan right now, once again, it's 68 degrees, cloudy. Back home in New Jersey at the meteorology program at Cook's College in New Brunswick at Rutgers University, it's 63 degrees with a southwest wind right now, but that's going to turn around to the northwest in just a couple of hours as the cold front comes through. Warm spots naturally right around the water, West Cape May, Atlantic City, Cape May Courthouse, also Seagirt and Egg Harbor at 68. Cooler spots this morning. We didn't decouple that much because of the cloud cover and some weak showers that moved through the area this morning. Very little precipitation, like just a couple of hundredths of an inch, if that. 56 right now at High Point, 58 at the Monument. Vernon Township also 58, and Chesterboro at 58. Currently, air temperatures are in the upper 50s to low and mid 60s across the entire forecast area. We didn't really decouple that much overnight because we had a lot of cloud cover. Precipitation over the last 24 hours is almost nil, but we'll show you that in a better perspective in just a moment. Wind speeds are still kind of light, maybe a little bit gusty, and a shower here that's passing through New York City or just to the east. It has been so dry, the soil moisture content is like nil, and everything is brown. And on the radar, we have some shortwave energy that's working through the flow ahead of the cold front, which is still back through Pennsylvania. So some of these showers have been enhanced over southeastern Connecticut and the Long Island Sound. On the geocolor satellite imagery this morning, we're seeing lots of clouds around the area as precipitation is exiting, but look at all of this clearing that's going on through central Pennsylvania. And if we look at the GOES IR channel, it's showing the same thing with clearing skies out to the west. We continue with dry weather here. We're going into a drought here in New Jersey. We've just had no precipitation, no measurable precipitation in like a month and a half, almost 2 months now. Right now it is 60 and cloudy here at the Weather Center in West Orange. Pollen is high, so is your nasal and allergy and fatigue that often comes at this time of the year. Winds are still out of the southwest. Humidity is high because of the cloud cover and the lower moisture in the atmosphere at 87%. Visibility is better than 10 miles. Air pressure 29.84 inches. Dew point is 59. Today we're going to get up to about 71 with mostly sunny skies for our location and for most areas. In fact, this whole week it's just going to be absolutely gorgeous with fall weather, but it's going to be breezy today too. So you're going to want to take a light jacket or a hoodie or something with you when you go outside later this morning into the afternoon and evening. Just beautiful weather. No precipitation in the forecast right through the end of this week and into next week either. Sunrise this morning was at 7 a.m. Sunset tonight, another ticking moment down at 6:28. Moon phase is 30%. The next full moon coming up on October 17th. Pollen is high at 70%. Air pressure will be rising over the next couple of hours as the cold front comes through. UVI index is low today at 4, but still sunscreen if you're out there. Air quality is pretty good at 2. Right now, the dew point's 59, humidity is 87%, and the wind is out of the south-southwest at about 2 to 12 miles per hour. Last week's drought monitor on October 3rd shows that we are heading into a drought or very abnormally dry conditions throughout most of New Jersey, southeastern Pennsylvania, and the Delaware River Valley here. We've had no precipitation of measurable kind here for quite some time, and that looks to continue as well in the forecast maps ahead. Well, we will zoom in on Hurricane Milton in just a moment, and all of the other activity out here in the Atlantic. And just to give you a heads up, here is our cold front now slicing through Pennsylvania, and the winds behind it are out of the northwest. So things will change over the next couple of hours here as this gets washed away by this cold front coming through. And yes, there are people reporting either cold or flu here. It's starting this season already. Allergies are included in that, mostly leaf and grass mold. There's still quite a few people coughing around the nation here, especially in the Northeast. And yes, we just still do have areas of COVID here as well. And RSV is spiking here across portions of Virginia and the North Carolina region. Basically, this is what it looks like on Doppler radar this morning as the cold front is coming through. All these showers are dissipating, but this couple of shortwave maxes here working through Connecticut, and that's enhancing some of the lift with some of these heavier showers that you're seeing right now. If you're in Connecticut or Massachusetts here and the Long Island Sound this morning, and then on top of that, we have some fog here out in central Pennsylvania, but that's all going to dissipate as the air becomes drier and the flow aloft is out of the west. Everything's good if you're traveling to the airports this morning. There are absolutely no delays across the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic region. And for the marine deck here, basically we have small craft advisories until 8 a.m. on Tuesday morning. And it's going to be for gusty northwesterly winds coming in at 10 to 20 knots with gust up to 25 knots and seas building to 3 to 6 feet. This is pushing the water away from the coastline. And this is for the entire region this morning through tomorrow morning as well. And you can forget these outliers here. This is all the precipitation over the last 24 hours, including up to this morning, and you can see just a couple of hundredths of an inch, maybe even a little bit more than a quarter of an inch in some of these heavier rain showers throughout the area this morning, but that's all exiting, and anything else that happened in northwestern New Jersey is basically not helping you at all. And we still have plenty of power outages here in North Carolina, 140,000 people still without power. South Carolina as well with 53,000 and also 77,000 here in Georgia. And that's just from Helene. We haven't gotten into Milton yet or what's going on, and we'll get to that in a moment. We'll get into the forecast maps and the tropics in just a moment, but I want to tell you that this storm is also already a Category 2 storm. It's a lot of convection and an eye wall forming here, and there are NOAA planes and Air Force reconnaissance planes going into Milton this morning. Now, the rainfall in Florida right now, again, is a stalled out frontal boundary here, so this is not an absolute connection with Milton at all. So additional rainfall that is falling in this area here will also be picked up by additional heavy rainfall and coastal flooding, flash flooding here when Milton makes its turn up this area here. And there are hurricane watches in this area, and we'll get to that in a moment. On the aviational weather deck for today, any lingering MVFR ceilings this morning will lift to VFR. Southwest winds will become northwest late this morning with the frontal passage, gusting up to 20 to 25 knots. Tonight, VFR conditions, northwest winds at about 5 knots, high confidence in that. Tuesday through Friday, VFR, no significant weather. Small craft advisories on the marine decks are in effect until Tuesday. Tuesday night and Wednesday, we drop below small craft advisories with gusts up to 15 knots or less and seas about 3 to 4 feet, but they'll be choppy today at about 4 to 6 feet through tomorrow morning. Then Wednesday night through Thursday night, small craft possible. A wind gust up to 25 knots and wave heights about 5 feet. Friday going back down again, gust up to about 20 knots and wave heights around 3 to 4 feet. Weather Prediction Center surface fronts and sea level pressure forecast through the next week, starting out this morning with a cold front passing through the northern mid-Atlantic. Getting into Monday here, we got more rain in Florida. Everything, this is this morning actually, but this cold front will produce some of that rain that we're seeing now across southern New England and Massachusetts and Connecticut this morning, but everything dries out behind the cold front. High pressure takes control, and everything's just stuck down in Florida. We'll get to that in a moment. And if you want any kind of weather to occur in the northern mid-Atlantic, the New Jersey, New York City metropolitan area, forget about it, because once Milton gets out to sea, high pressure's over the top of it, and it's just going to roll out to sea, but not without significant damage here. There. Air Force Reconnaissance Mission number 8, Airplane 309 into Milton right now, and we can see as the plane is going through here, you can see very high winds around the center or to the northeast of the center here, gusting to better than hurricane strength here. There are no drop zones from the Air Force, but the other mission coming in from NOAA is also in the storm from Milton right now, and it's again on the northwest side and also on the northeast side. As the plane is coming out now, we can see very strong hurricane force winds around this tightly packed storm right now. So this storm is enhancing, and they put the drop zones down here. So they're, measuring all of this, and Air Force has found that this storm is going to be voracious as it gets close here. The Air Force 302 into Milton has finished its pass and has gone back to probably Louisiana or whatever, the Naval Air Force Base there, where NOAA is located, or the Air Force Base there. And we've got very strong winds and a dangerous Category 2 storm moving in this direction towards Florida. And of course, we have very strong outflow here on the northwest side of the periphery. This is upper level divergence, but look at the storm cluster here around the center that's forming with the eye wall here. It's closing off, and there is strong convection on the inside of this and also to the northeast side of the storm. Basically, all of the hurricane models and guidance, this is all of the guidance here, is a proving ground for a pass through this area along the west coast of Florida by late Tuesday night, early Wednesday morning, and then heading out to sea. We do have a lot going on in the Atlantic. Obviously, Hurricane Milton now is up to 100 miles an hour. Central pressure is 972. It's moving to the east-southeast, but eventually it's going to get caught up in this ridge over this area, and then it's going to be forced to go northeast towards the western Gulf Coast of Florida, the western coast of Florida. We'll get into that in a moment. We have Leslie here. Let's take a look at all of this in perspective. Let's start out with Leslie. This is a hurricane now, and it will become a storm out into the open waters. And then going back to Kirk here, this storm is going to venture out into the Atlantic, into England actually, and Ireland. So that is not an issue for us. But Hurricane Milton, that's a different story. So right now, the key messages with Hurricane Milton is that hurricane conditions are expected across portions of the northern coast of the Yucatan Peninsula, dangerous storm surge, damaging waves, also likely across this area. There is also the increasing risk of late threatening storm surge and damaging winds for portions of the west coast of Florida. Beginning Tuesday night or early Wednesday, storm surge and hurricane watches are now in effect for portions of the west coast of Florida Peninsula, and the residents of that area should also follow the advice by local officials. areas of heavy rainfall impacting portions of Florida today, well ahead of Milton, with heavy rainfall more directly related to the system expected later tomorrow evening through Wednesday night. And this rainfall will bring the risk of considerable flash, urban, and aerial flooding, along with the potential for moderate to major river flooding. This is the current update from the National Hurricane Center as of 6 a.m. Hurricane Hunter planes from NOAA found that this now is a major hurricane. The Hurricane Hunter aircraft indicate that Milton has strengthened to a major hurricane. The maximum sustained winds are now estimated at 120 miles an hour, and Milton is a Category 3 hurricane right now on the Saffir-Simpson wind scale. And data from the aircraft also indicates that the minimum central pressure has fallen to 954 millibars, and a special advisory will be issued at 7 a.m. to reflect this change and update the forecast. Right now, as of 6 a.m. this morning, it's located at 21.9 north, 92.4 west, about 180 miles to the north west of Progreso, Mexico, and 750 miles to the west-southwest of Tampa, Florida. Maximum sustained winds are now up to 120 miles an hour. That's a Cat 3. Present movement is to the east-southeast right now, but that's going to turn around. That's moving at 8 miles an hour, and then the storm is just going to boom. Minimum central pressure is 954 millibars. Right now, pretty much all of the western coastline of Florida is in a storm surge watch, but this is probably going to be updated to a storm surge warning over the next 24 hours. Peak storm surge here could be up to about 12 feet, right from Yankeetown all the way to Englewood and down to Bonita Beach. So we're looking at, especially in the Tampa Bay area, we could be dealing with, or just west along the coastline here, could be dealing with storm surge of about 8 to 12 feet. And this graphic has changed over the last couple of days. The greatest flash flood risk over the next 3 days will be all the way from, let's say, just south of Tallahassee, all the way from Jacksonville, all the way to Orlando, and back to Tampa Bay here. A lot of rainfall coming in your direction. Arrival time of winds here with this Cat 3 storm of Milton here, closing in by late Tuesday night, early Wednesday morning along the west coast of Florida, and then Wednesday afternoon and evening back into Thursday here out over the southeast Atlantic. It's getting crazy out here this morning. At 7 a.m. this morning now, Air Force and NOAA Hunter planes rapidly strengthening. New watches and warnings have been issued for portions of Mexico. It's now up to 125 mile an hour wind gust. It's moving to the east-southeast at about 8 miles an hour. Minimum central pressure now down at 945 millibars, and it's about 745 miles to the west-southwest of Tampa, Florida. So a hurricane warning is in effect for, a large portion of the coastline here of the Yucatan Peninsula. And a storm surge watch now in effect for the Florida Gulf Coast from Flamingo northward to the mouth of the Suwannee River, including Charlotte Harbor and Tampa Bay. Tropical storm warning in effect for these areas here. This is just getting crazy out there, folks. And I will be back with further updates as this storm is developing and becoming major at this point, and the impacts into Florida, the Yucatan Peninsula here in Mexico, over the next couple of hours after some of the morning chores are done.